Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. If you're new here, my name is JC. I am a personal trainer, group fitness instructor, and college student, and this is your guide to strength training. Throughout this video, we are going to be talking about the science and benefits behind strength training, along with how to get started, how to set up a very basic workout plan for someone completely new to strength training, along with a few tips and tricks to guide you along the way. This is going to be the start of a strength training series. This video is going to cover just strength training, and then next week, I will have a video about structuring a weekly workout routine. So I know this video is going to be a bit more basic and simplified, but it's really important to get all these definitions to have a full understanding of strength training because there's a lot of common misconceptions out there that I want to address. So if you are new here, make sure to like this video, subscribe if you want to see more weightlifting content or even stuff about being a personal trainer, group fitness instructor. And without further ado, let's go ahead and get into this. So starting with what strength training is when you are using any kind of weight and resistance to put pressure on your muscles through any sort of movement in order to build up muscles or maintain muscle mass. So some of the benefits of strength training include the reduced risk of osteoporosis. When you're strength training, you're increasing your bone density, and osteoporosis is when you don't have as much bone density and your bones are more vulnerable to breaking or damage. So strength training can also, along with that, decrease the risk of fall-related injuries and boost your mood and confidence. There are so many more benefits to strength training, including decreased risk of cardiovascular diseases and chronic muscular diseases, but those are the few that I want to focus on right now: is improved bone density, less risk of osteoporosis, and reduced risk of fall-related injuries. As we get older, our bones continue to decay and age, and if we strength train while we are able to, or even as we're aging, we can increase that bone density and help improve our quality of life. So I think about strength training as kind of keeping independence as we get older, keeping mobility and function as we get older. Now I want to address a very common strength training myth, specifically one that is aimed at many women. So strength training is not going to make you bulky. I'll address it kind of in this way. We bulk or cut based off of how many calories we are taking in. If you want your muscles to look more bulky, then you're gonna eat more calories, specifically focusing on certain food groups. If you want that leaner look, if you want less mass on your body, then you go into a calorie deficit. That's kind of all I'm gonna say on that. That's not exactly my scope of practice as a personal trainer, but that is some very basic information. If you want any guidance on nutrition, I recommend looking at the MyPlate government resource on healthy balanced nutrition, or consulting a nutritionist or dietitian. But we're just going to be looking at the strength training side of things. So no, strength training and lifting heavy weights is not going to make you bulky. Another common misconception is that you have to lift super heavy weights to gain muscles, and that is also not true. Strength training is done best with proper form progressive overload technique, and that might be starting out at lifting 3 pounds, lifting 5 pounds, but you're lifting weight, you're moving weight, and as you work on that proper form and increase in your muscle strength, fuel your body with the right foods, then you will be able to lift more and more weight as you go up. Now, how exactly do we get started with strength training? Let's get into the bulk of this video. So as a personal trainer, I'm going to approach this from that perspective. And again, this is all it depends on your specific situation. Everything is an it depends situation. So I'm going for a very general kind of what I would recommend as a personal trainer. So as a personal trainer, if I had a client come to me that had never done strength training before, really wanted to start and implement it into the routine, I would recommend 1 to 2 full body days to start in order to build consistency and get your body used to this. I would recommend focusing on more compound movements. So compound is when we're working more than one muscle group, and isolation movement is when we're working only one muscle group. So if we're thinking compound, we're thinking about a lot of those lower body exercises like a squat or an RDL. For upper body, that would be a chest press, a shoulder press. What we wouldn't really be wanting to do is like a bicep curl, because that's just working our bicep. We want to focus when we're getting started on more of those compound exercises to kind of distribute the wealth of strength training. Let's say 2 full body days is not something feasible. I would say do an upper body day and a lower body day, kind of split the sessions up a little bit. And then rep wise, I would do 3 sets of anywhere between 6 to 10 reps. Maybe start with 6, work your way up to 10, but I would keep it around that rep range. Now here is what needs to be in a basic strength and conditioning program. So we want to focus on movement patterns. So we're going to go through the movement patterns that should be in these programs, examples of movements, and then how I would split this up into 2 different days. So starting with our lower body movements, we need bend and lift. That's gonna be your squats, your sit to stands, your wall sides, any basic squat movement pattern. After that, we have our single leg movement pattern. That's any kind of lunge. If you're someone like me who just doesn't enjoy lunges, I would think about getting a box out and doing step ups. You could put a single leg RDL in here, but I think most people would prefer to see any kind of lunge variation. Then we have our hinge. Our hinge is any sort of RDL, deadlift, good morning. I would even put glute bridges and hip thrusts in this category, speaking from a very like broad standpoint. Anything where we are focusing on the hinge of the hips. Moving into our upper body movements, we have push and pull and vertical and horizontal. So a push movement is when we are moving weight away from our body. The weight's close to your body, you're moving it away. A pull movement is when you are moving weight towards your body. The weight is away from us, we're pulling it towards us. Horizontal and vertical is the direction that you're pushing and pulling. Vertical is your arms are going above your head. So you're either pulling it down, pushing it up. Horizontal is you're pulling it or pushing it towards your torso. You're pushing it away, you're pulling it towards you. So think shoulders, kind of torso. If you're pushing or pulling away from your shoulder, that is going to be a vertical. If you are pushing or pulling towards your torso, that's going to be a horizontal. So for our horizontal push, that's going to be more chest focused. Think chest press, chest fly, like a single arm chest press with cable, like that's very chest. If we're thinking vertical push, that is typically shoulder focused. Big when I see a shoulder press, I would also characterize lateral raises as a vertical push. Vertical pull is going to be very back focused, lat focused. That's going to be a lat pull down, straight bar pull down. If you're doing it with resistance band, you could do a pull apart. Dumbbells is a little hard to get a vertical push or a vertical pull, but that would maybe be like a pull over on a bench. Kind of depends on how you're doing it. Horizontal pull, back and a little bit of biceps. We're working in a different position. That's going to be any kind of row that you're pulling towards your chest. And then we have our core movements. So in core, I want to see in a program, we have a rotation movement and a stability movement. Rotation, we are moving our body through the transverse plane. Think Russian twist, hip dips, wood choppers, cable twist. And then stability, any core move where your back is stable and you're moving your shoulders or your legs. So think like dead bugs, maybe sit-ups, planks a lot of the time. Like you just kind of want to think like any other core movement. So here's how I would break this up into 2 different days. So if I was doing 2 full body days, I would do on day 1, I would do a bend and lift movement. I would then do a single leg movement. That would be my leg section. Then I would do a vertical push and a vertical pull. That would be my arms section. And I would end off with a rotational core movement. Now on the second day, I would repeat the bend and lift because being able to bend and lift things is a huge part of functional training. I would then do a hinge movement for lower body. And then for upper body, I would do a horizontal push, horizontal pull, and stability movement. So let's put this together in a sample program for someone who wants a very basic gym workout. So for day 1, for our bend and lift, we're gonna go ahead and do a dumbbell goblet squat up and down. For our single leg, let's say we're doing reverse lunges. For our vertical push, let's say that we're gonna do a shoulder press. For our vertical pull, let's go ahead and do some lat pull downs. And for our rotation, we're doing Russian twist. There's a sample workout. Now for day 2, for our bend and lift, instead of a dumbbell goblet squat, maybe we go ahead and let's do a sumo squat, or maybe we just do the dumbbell goblet squat again, but let's change it up. Let's do a sumo squat, hold the weight down lower, bring our feet slightly wider than our hips, work in a different plane. For our hinge, let's go ahead and do a dumbbell RDL. For our horizontal push, we'll do some chest pressing. For our horizontal pull, we'll do some dumbbell side grip rows. And for stability, we'll do dead bugs. We'll have our knees up in a tabletop. We'll bring the opposite arm and opposite leg out. Boom, there's another workout. Both of these workouts will be fully written in the description if you want to steal them for yourself. So those are the basics of strength training. Again, this is going to be a full series on our channel where we cover all different aspects of it. I just wanted to give a very basic overview into what strength training is, what I would recommend for a complete beginner, and how to structure a very basic workout program with all of the different movement patterns combined. For the next video, we're going to be focusing on how to create a weekly workout program for if you are wanting more of that specific body grouping things, and how I would go about structuring those workouts. That is all I have for you now. If you have any questions, leave them down in the comments below. I will try to respond as quickly as I can, and have a fantastic day. Thank you so much for being here. Bye-bye.